Carroll bringing it forward. Thompson's making the run. Carroll hangs on to it though. Still Davy Carroll. Could go all the way here. Oh, what a goal!
I don't know what it is that makes me love you so. I only know I never wanna let you go. 'Cause you started something, you see, that ever since we met you had a hold on me. It happens to be true. I only wanna be with you.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Ringing the Blues, the official Wycombe Wanderers radio slow / podcast. Now it's 7 p.m, and you can always rely on Ringing the Blues to start at 7 p.m. We're not like the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. You just know when we're going to start. On tonight's show, we've got Matt Bass, the Wycombe Wanderers fan, who's updating us on his FA Cup Odyssey, and we have Wycombe fan Liam O'Rourke, and he joins us on Till Death Us Do Part. We've also got all the action and reaction from the game at Adams Park on the weekend against Barnsley. But as always, let's kick things off with a trip to Mexico City to get the full Liga Juan results and Chairboys Spanish with Uri.
We are ringing the blues from Mexico City. It's me, Uri, and here are the results for League One. Bolton Wanderers 2, Cambridge United 0, Carlisle United 1, Reading 3, Cheltenham Town 0, Burton Albion 0, Derby County 3, Port Vale 0, Fleetwood Town 4, Wigan Athletic 2, Leyton Orient 0, Bristol Rovers 1, Lincoln City 0, Stevenage 0, Northampton Town 1, Charlton Athletic 1, Peterborough United 2, Exeter City 1, Portsmouth 2, Oxford United 1, Shrewsbury Town 0, Blackpool 2, Wycombe Wanderers 2, Barnsley 4. So winter is over and spring has arrived in the UK. Maybe the weather will improve soon. So Chairboys Spanish this week, meteorological spring. Okay, this one is really easy, Phil Catchpole. Meteorological is the same word in Spanish, meteorológico. And spring, how do we say spring? How do we say the seasons in Spanish? Okay, let's do one by one. Spring, primavera. Okay. Summer, verano. Fall, otoño, like autumn. And winter, invierno. So, how do we say spring? Primavera, meteorological spring, primavera meteorológica. That's it for this week. Back to England with my amigo Filiberto Cachapollos. Adios.
Wonderful as ever. Thank you, Uri. Right then, the Tykes came to town on Saturday. They came with a fantastic away record in League One. Just one defeat all season on the road. Wycombe Wanderers, though, just one defeat in 9 at home in the last 9. What was to happen? Let's find out. Butcher again, bit of head tennis here. This is getting scrappy all of a sudden. Scowen puts his foot on it and puts it out to Leahy on the left wing. Tries to run between two. Throw in taken really quickly by Sadler. Finds Leahy. Drills it in low. McCleary's there. Taylor scores! Goal! Wycombe Wanderers have got the goal. Go, deep breath. Goal!
Dale Taylor, love it.
There we are. The Spanish commentary from Joe Jacobson. The cross from Luke Leahy. It wasn't cleared, and Dale Taylor slams it home for his 5th goal of the season. Brilliant stuff from Wycombe Wanderers, the all-important first goal.
It was, and just like earlier when they switched off from a corner and we got a chance at the back post, the same thing happened down this side. The ball went out of play. Sads picked it up, threw it to Luke Leahy down the line, who volleyed it into the box low, hoping for a touch, and they couldn't quite defend it well. It fell to Dale Taylor about, 15 yards out, who slotted it home really comfortably. And
over the wall and under the bar, it's not a huge amount to play with here in terms of room. Connell goes for it. Into the underside of the bar. Cosgroves gets the rebound. It's 1-1. The free kick was really well struck. It bounced down on the underside of the crossbar, and Cosgrove heads home the rebound.
Oh, it was an incredible free kick from Luca Connell there. Like we said, going over the wall. It didn't seem too much pace on it, but just got it over and towards the corner enough, and Franco dived. And it's not for him to be able to get back up there and save it. And Sam Cosgrove, who was in the middle there, with the Wycombe defenders, just gets in front of people and heads it back into the net.
Good header. Labala's on the run now. Calling the penalty here, right hand side. Little backheel to McCleary is nice. And McCleary cuts it back. Oh yes!
Love it.
Gareth McCleary, what an assist! Earl had done enough defending, he thought. McCleary was on the deck, and from that position cuts it back. And Sadlier, the fox in the box, rolls it in, and Wycombe are back in the lead, 2-1.
Oh, we said earlier, didn't we, about Sads, about being on his toes a little bit with the ball and not expecting it, but really poor defending from Josh Earl there. He seemed to have shielded the ball out, but he definitely got a touch on it, so he would have shielded out for a corner, and GMAT never gave up on it. He got there, he just hooked the leg round, and Sads was on the move, and came to him, and he was ready for it this time, and he's got a tap in, and great start for Wycombe to the second half.
What an assist by Gareth McCleary, and Earl, as soon as the ball hit the back of the net, his head was in his hands.
It was, yeah. GMAT, he's probably never had too many tackle assists before in his life, but he'll take that all day, and great opportunity now for Wycombe to kick on. There's been scrappy start to the second half, but that first bit of quality we've had from GMAT there with the tackle, and Sads finished off nicely.
Corner to Barnsley, their fifth. Left-footed in swinger. It's a good delivery in, and Earl's nearly there, and it's gone in.
Oh.
It's a really poor corner from the goal from the set piece, and it's trickled home. Second phase, and Barnsley have got the immediate response. It's 2-2, and that's a really poor goal to concede.
Yeah,
Joe.
really poor. It looked like it wasn't the initial header. It felt like someone flicked it on, and it just hit a couple of players at the back stick, trickled across the line. I think someone prodded it towards Josh Scowen on the line, and it's one of them that just hit him in between his legs, and he couldn't quite just kick it out, and squirmed into the corner.
Phillips out wide. Williams is in the area. It goes through, and O'Keefe scores. Barnsley have the lead. O'Keefe's right-footed shot, and that's been coming, I think, because Barnsley have been settled in the final third. Kane's been pulling the strings. They put it down the right-hand side. It was cut back in. Wycombe couldn't clear, and O'Keefe calmly finished. Wycombe 2, Barnsley 3. McCleary off as well.
Oh.
David Wheeler.
I was going to say, he could be in trouble here, Wheels.
He's off. David Wheeler's been sent off for kicking out at O'Keefe about, 5 seconds after coming on?
I said that. He's challenged O'Keefe. I think O'Keefe's just got his body in, and Wheels looked like we reacted a little bit here and kicked out. We'll have a look now on the screen. He did kick out at him. Yeah, really unnecessarily from Wheels, really uncharacteristically as well from Wheels to do that. And the referee was looking at it and spotted it straight away.
The referee had his hand in his pocket immediately after running across. Kane in the centre circle. Goes wide to Phillips. Phillips puts the ball out to Williams. Williams now drills it to Kane. Kane outside the penalty area on the right-hand channel. Finds Phillips. Phillips to Williams now. Williams into the box. Finds Grant. Grant goes for goal and scores. It's 4-2 to Barnsley. Grant had loads of time in the box to turn, pick his spot and hammer it past Ravazoli, and it's a huge task now for 10-man Wycombe. Wycombe 2, Barnsley 4. Gaffer, a 4-2 defeat and plenty to unpack in that game.
Yeah, loads. Actually thought we started extremely well for half an hour, 35 minutes. I thought we were very, very good, pressed high up the pitch, created numerous opportunities into the final third, into the Barnsley's box. I thought the players played with real energy and enthusiasm about the game. Really good atmosphere in the ground, and I was really pleased how the afternoon was going. Obviously disappointing to give a goal away just before half time, and then listen, we could be here all day discussing different points of the second half. We're obviously really disappointed not to win the game, let alone come away with a point, but with 10 men we give ourselves a mountain to climb.
That first goal, the Dale Taylor goal, an excellent team goal.
Yeah, it was, because we spoke about trying to get some tempo and energy and intensity into the game, and Sads picks the ball up and throws it to Lukey quick, and really good thinking from those two. Good finish from Dale, and like I say, I thought we created some real good opportunities. Maybe could have made the goalkeeper work a little bit more once we get, hits the post. We hit the post, although would have been an own goal. We hit the post, had a couple of close moments. So I thought we started the game extremely well.
I think Barnsley didn't really get going until well past the half an hour mark. They'd have been delighted to get down the tunnel at 1-1 at that stage. Is that why they're up at the top end of the table? They can grind stuff out in those positions?
Yeah, I mean, the evidence would suggest so. I think we've had 2 extremely good games against Barnsley. Obviously, should have got a point up at Oakwell with the referee's mistake there. And then there's obviously been things that have gone against us again today. So a very good team, well drilled, good ages, energy, some real good players in there. Obviously, gone and bought El in January, one of the best players on the pitch, I thought, today, the money they've spent on him. So, there's no shortage of investment there. So, good team, but I felt we matched them every step of the way until we were down to 10 men, then it's tough.
You would have been pleased, though, the momentum perhaps going into half-time had swung back to Barnsley, but it was Wycombe that got back in the lead, and it was some classic wing play from Gareth McCleary to set it up. Yeah,
GMAC carries a threat. He's carried a threat for us every time he's played this season. He's been extremely good in the games he's given us, and the numbers and the output he's given. It's a situation there where he could have given up but doesn't. Managed to get the ball in, and Sads in the middle of the box. Sads has got an eye for goal. We know that. Unfortunately for us, GMAC was carrying a bit of an injury, and Sads has had a lot of minutes recently, so he was just tiring there, so we had to take those 2 off. But I felt like we come out after half time, swung the game in our favour, and it was a soft goal to give away from a corner, and so we're disappointed with that. So we have to be better in those moments to make sure, again, I'm saying, our performances turn into results.
It was that period in the 62nd to the 65th, I think, minute that really determined the outcome of this game. Going 3-2 down, triple sub, and then immediately one of your subs is then sent straight off a mere seconds after entering the field of play. What was your view on it?
Yeah, GMAX signalled to us when he was on the pitch that he had a knock, so needed to come off. Then as it goes, Taff clears it. It comes down our right-hand side, and GMAX not there because he's carrying that knock. Comes back out to our left-hand side again. It's a goal that's preventable, absolutely, from our side. We were then getting the finishers ready to come on because we felt at 2-2 we needed some fresh energy. We've had a really busy schedule. We felt we needed that fresh energy. Will steps on the pitch, long centre over to him, and as he's come off the pitch, the lad's led with his elbow, caught Will square on the jaw. I can't excuse the reaction. It's unacceptable from our side, but the provocation was there. Last week against Stevenage, we've had another incident where one of my boys gets elbowed in the jaw. Nothing's done. Then Max got done for excessive force for what we've proven to be not even contact with the lad, tackles him with his back. So I don't want to talk about. Feel like it's happened a lot. I don't want to stand there and talk about. I want to talk about the football, but when last week it happens. Joey gets done in the jaw. This week it happens. The Wills gets done in the jaw. Nothing happens. Like I say, I'm not excusing the reaction because Wills has apologised to the players. It's totally preventable. Every action, you choose your reaction from that, and he's chosen to do what he's done. But it's just for our side. The dangerous stuff is letting it go, and people 2 sending offs now we've had for things that aren't even dangerous.
And against 10 men with the lead, Barnsley were able to show their class and get that 4th goal too.
Yeah, the 4th goal kills us because at 3-2, we've shown recently that we rally. Should have had a penalty at Stevenage last week. At 1-0 down, Tuesday night, get 2 goals late. Like I say, we brought on fresh energy. And even at the end, we've had a couple of chances. Gideon's gone through, Rich has gone through, Vokes has had a real good shot from just outside the box. And at 3-2, I still fancy us with 10 men that we can go get something. But the 4th goal takes the wind out of our sails a little bit, but the 10 that were out there, fair play. They dug in, held in, tried to look for a way back into the game, but against a very good Barnsley team with 10 minutes, it's tough.
And you'll take some real positives from elements of today's game, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely, because you could see from the supporters' reaction at the end with the players, they know what they've put into it. We don't want to we don't want to be accepting of a defeat. I want to win. I want to win every game. Losing hurts. But I watched the game back again, as we always do, and pick the bones out of it, look at the tactical side of it, what could we have done better. But there were certainly elements today where we played with real enthusiasm and energy, and we have to keep that moving forward.
And it brings close to a passage of games now, which has been relentless. We've now got a midweek where there is no game and time to be spent at the training ground.
Yeah, which I think is important, because every day that we've had at the training ground recently has been a match day plus 2 or a -1, where you're trying to get the lads out and getting them ready for the next game. I think the lads have played with a real intensity recently, and maybe that caught up with us slightly today. But the way we started the game, really pleased with. But we'll get back out on the training ground and keep working this week.
The thoughts there of Wycombe Wanderers manager Matt Bloomfield after a competitive game. Lots going on in that one. The Tykes fans travelled in good numbers, which is no surprise given their form this season. And here's what they had to think. It's the opposition view.
Poggy well.
A very good result and certainly a game of two halves. Plenty of mistakes from both sides today, but yet again we've managed to come from behind. Twice this time. That's our 10th away win of the season, so we can only applaud what is a remarkable achievement at any level. Herbie Kane ran the show in the second half, which was very nice to see.
Tyke 67.
Can I just say that I bloody love this team. They have spirit, heart and desire, and never know when they're beat. But it would be great to score first for a change. My nerves can't stand it.
Perky Tyke.
Good win, that. It were tight, though, when it were 11v11, and their lad being sent off really tipped it in our favour. Cosgrove had one of his best games for us. He were available for everything and refused to be bullied by their physicality.
Duncan Shaw.
How come every team can get away with manhandling Cosgrove so much? I get that he's a big, strong lad, but it's like watching wrestling every week.
Scott Marshall.
We were up against 12 men again today. The ref gave us nout. Their defender practically had Cosgrove in a headlock in the box, smack bang in front of him, and he still gave nout.
Barry.
We tried to play pretty football and failed horribly. So we started to embrace the dark arts against the preeminent lower league dark arts team from the last 10 years. We did it on their own ground and we dominated them at their own game. It were ugly. Cosgrove got right on the nerves of the Wycombe defence, who thought they had everything figured out in the early stages. I'm happy today because it shows we can adapt and still dominate.
Wombwell Red.
I thought it were an Ainsworth thing, but it turns out it don't matter who manages Wycombe. There's still a bunch of nasty houses.
Mickey Finn.
O'Keefe jumped into their player on the touchline. It were a nothing challenge, certainly not one that would have caused any harm or injury to Wheeler. He just lost his head and kicked out. No need for that, the daft git. By the way, I really like Josh Scowen, but I don't remember him being such an annoying gobgash to the ref when he were playing for us.
Shadrock the Red.
Excellent win today. Not without some airy moments, but to be honest, you expect that with third division football. Kane ran the engine room, especially in the second half, where everything positive came through him. He was always available and continued to probe and prompt with quality passing. Many wanted our forward line to be strengthened in January, but goal scoring hasn't been our problem, and with our 4 today, we're back to being top scorers in the division. It's stopping goals that's been a problem, and it still is. However, it's harsh to be critical of a side who continue to be such a force on the road.
The Prince of Risborough.
We played with Wycombe for the last 10 or 15 minutes. We knocked the ball around with a touch of arrogance, and I like that. But I don't like to see us giving agricultural teams like them so many chances. Despite that, it were another outstanding away performance. Shame the other 3 contenders won as well, but I'll take 4th place at this stage of the season.
online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Bill Turnbull, a broadcasting legend whose tireless campaigning for prostate cancer awareness left a lasting legacy for men's health in the UK. Bill's message was clear.
I really want you and your loved ones to take this simple online risk check now.
Let's honour Bill's legacy together. Let's get men across the UK to check their risk. Let's broadcast it like Bill. Check your risk. Share the risk checker. Save lives.
Mondays from 7.
Hey, it's Rebecca, and I'm here to let you know that you can catch me every single Monday with a brand new music show between 7 and 8 p.m. I'll be bringing you some of the latest and freshest sounds, and you do not want to miss it. So come and join me every Monday, 7 till 8 p.m. here on Wycombe Sound.
You're listening to Wycombe Sound, online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM.
Wycombe Wanderers were knocked out of the FA Cup, well, last year, a long time ago, against Morecambe, disappointingly, if we all remember correctly. But for one Wycombe Wanderers fan, the FA Cup is still very much on the table and is going all the way to Wembley. It's Wycombe Wanderers fan, Matt Bass. Matt, you are on the road to Wembley. This is your second appearance of the season. You're going to every game. Where did we leave you last time?
I believe... Do you know, I need to double check this. I think when we last spoke, had I just been to Flackwell Heath in the preliminary, the first qualifying round.
Yes.
So that was the very beginning of September, I believe. We've got a lot to catch up on, Phil.
The biggest thing I remember, and this isn't sort of downgrading the rest of the chat we had. The takeaway from the whole thing was that you were going to be having baked beans on toast with Kevin De Bruyne at some point in this journey. I'm pleased to report that A, you're still on the journey, and B, so is Kevin De Bruyne and Manchester City. So it's still a possibility.
Well, and I don't have a ticket yet, but my mini exclusive for you, Phil, is that the Man City Newcastle game is the game I'm aiming for the next round. So, this could be the one. We'll wait and see. I mean, it is still a dream, the beans on toast with KVB.
All right, we're all waiting for that. For the listeners who have got no idea what we're talking about, who may have inadvertently missed our chat earlier in the season, can you briefly describe again what you're up to with this season's FA Cup?
Yes, so it's always been a bit of a dream of mine to attend a game in every round of the competition, all the way from the extra preliminary round all the way through to the final. That's 14 games in total. I just absolutely love the FA Cup. I can't really pinpoint why. I think it's anything that anyone ever says about the FA Cup in a positive light. I'm fully on board with that. I remember my very first game watching it back in the 93-94 season. I remember the run of Chesterfield and of course the famous run of our own beloved Chairboys. And it's just always held that special place for me when it comes to watching football. This is the season. This is the season that I'm, fulfilling a little bit of a dream. And I wanted to get out and meet as many different people as I could, attend as many games as I could, and just see what stories and, memories I can create or be a part of along the way. And there's been so many. It's exceeded all of my expectations in that sense. The people I've met, the stories I've been party to, and the experiences I've had, it's just been wonderful. And I don't want to sound like I'm the PR machine for the FA, but it's only deepened that love I have for the competition.
When we spoke, obviously in the preliminary rounds and the earlier rounds, smaller teams are involved. You were getting all sorts of fantastic access and sitting in on team talks, etc., and going on buses with players. As the rounds are progressing, I'm guessing that sort of narrative is changing slightly.
Yeah, it has. Since we last spoke, I probably have peaked. I think, excuse me, what was it? It was the final qualifying round. I went to AFC Totton near Southampton against Ramsgate. Ramsgate, are actually a level below Totton, whose captain is former Wycombe striker Scott Rendell. But Ramsgate won on the day, and to be honest, I think they're probably playing a level below where they should be if you look at their squad. Anyway, I've gone off topic. Sorry. Ramsgate won that, and I was speaking to their manager, great guy Ben Smith, a fellow teacher actually, and he, as soon as somebody told him what I was doing, the first thing he said to me, he looked at me really confused. He said, "Well, why weren't you in the changing room with us then? Why? What have you been doing today?" I said, quite politely, I said, "Sorry, Ben, we've only just met, but I didn't realise that was an option." So he said, "Yeah, come down next game. Next game, you're in the changing room with us." So for the first round, which was, I believe I'm right in saying that's equal furthest that Ramsgate had been to, I was in the dressing room. I had access all areas. I walked onto the pitch just before kickoff. I was in the dressing room before the game for the team talk. They even brought me on the pitch to help welcome a new signing that they'd made.
Wow.
Did the old handshake, holding up the shirt and things like that. And then, from that game, obviously, they're one of the clubs that I feel like I've got a bit of a connection to now. So I followed them again because they won that game against Woking. So I followed them again in the second round to AFC Wimbledon, the game that was on TV. Sounds horrible, but I've lost track. I think it was 5 or 6-0. Yeah, it was a heavy defeat in the end. That dressing room access and really getting on with some of the players. I'm still actually in touch with a couple, or one of them in particular, I should say. That was kind of where it peaked. After that, it has been much more of, just the personal journey, I suppose, and the different ways of going to games and experiencing them, not necessarily, getting in with the clubs, if you like, and chatting to them face to face. Because after that, I sort of decided to go a bit bigger, if you like, and I went right up north. I went to Middlesbrough against Aston Villa, which was a completely different experience. Needless to say, I didn't get anywhere near Michael Carrick or Unai Emery, but it was a good weekend.
Just going back to Ramsgate, I mean, that first round win against Woking, they're in the first round. It's club history. They win the game. What did you tell them before the game when you're in the dressing room? Because clearly you're responsible for that victory.
I think I'm mostly there is a video clip, I think, on the club's social media channels, and you just sort of see me looking very awkward in the corner. I think I'm doing my sort of like, I'm fiddling with my phone, and I've got this awkward thing where I put my hand in front of my face when I'm fiddling with my phone. Sorry, and I've done it again. And you just sort of think, like, they must have been looking. I mean, the manager did explain who I was, and a few of them, as I think they did at one of the other clubs, a few of them turned to me and just said, "Right, what's your song, Matt? Come on, karaoke, etc." Didn't have time for that, sadly. But
and were you in the dressing room at Wimbledon?
No.
Well, there you go. If you were, then they'd have been in the third round.
Maybe that's it. I am available to all clubs who wish to progress slightly further in the competition.
So in the actual physical rounds outside of qualifying, you've been to Ramsgate, you've been to AFC Wimbledon, you've been to Middlesbrough. So where was it after that? I mean, this is a hell of a journey already.
So Middlesbrough Villa was the third round. I should say, actually, as well as going to AFC Wimbledon against Ramsgate in the second round, I did also go to my local club, Maidstone, when they beat Barrow in round 2. So I sort of did a double header in the second round. And then actually, for the fourth round, because Maidstone was still in it, it was too good an opportunity to turn up. So I thought I've got to get a ticket to that game somehow. So I went to their game against Ipswich, which I think lots of people saw. What an occasion that was. And actually, I talked earlier about how the Ramsgate game, in terms of like access, kind of that's where it peaked. I kind of had not so much access, but a truly unique experience at the Ipswich Maidstone game, because through the writing that I've done for the FA, one of the FA's media partners, I believe is the term, got in touch and basically said they would like to follow me around for the day and make a piece for their highlight show, which didn't go out in this country, but all of their international broadcast partners had access to it. So I like to joke that I'm a bit of a C-list celebrity in Burkina Faso. And
big in Japan. Big in Japan.
Yeah, exactly. Huge. But I mean, again, aside from like my own personal celebrity status, that game was just incredible. It was so fantastic. You've got your proper underdog story against a former FA Cup winning side on their patch. I was in with the Maidstone fans. I happened to be sitting or standing right by the Ipswich fans, who were most vocal. There was lots of back and forth. They went very, very quiet when Maidstone scored.
Nice.
Both goals. And just what a day. And again, I'm sort of going back to the personal level. I work in Maidstone. I'm a teacher. I teach in Maidstone. Loads of the kids from school, primary school this is as well, loads of the kids from school were at that game. And it was just really nice to see them having their sort of FA Cup moment, like I remembered myself and all of my friends had back in 2000, 2001, when we were out. I remember going to the Wimbledon game. I think I watched the game, the Wycombe FA Cup run, with so many different people in each game. And I sounds really soppy, but I feel like I've got special memories with certain friends at certain games. And it was, I could sort of see it happening almost with like these kids and their families at this game for Ipswich and one round beyond as well, because that was where I was last week. On Monday night I went to Coventry for that, because again, like, smallest club left in the competition, first club from that level I believe since the late 70s. Blythe Spartans, I think it was, to reach that stage of the competition. How could I, again, if I could get a ticket, how could I possibly refuse that game? So I didn't. I went.
So everyone says the magic of the FA Cup, and you'd have been starting off on this journey all the way back in the start of the season. You found some real magic here. If I was a team still in the FA Cup, I'd be making contact with you saying, Matt, come on, mate. We need your lucky charm. We need you with us.
Do you know, it is a funny thing, like that, sort of to coin a phrase, what do they say? The grass isn't always greener and things like that. There's a couple of games I've come away from and I've thought that was a real opportunity for a bit of FA Cup magic. Something really special could have happened there. And the first couple of rounds, like, it didn't really, like, I was having, memorable experiences personally, but I wasn't getting the sort of on the pitch thing. The first game I went to was a 1-1 draw that should have really been a victory for Beerstead against Wembley. Lordswood did well to come back against Cray Valley PM in my second game, etc., etc. And then Flackwell Heath, the game got abandoned, unfortunately, and there just wasn't really any sort of proper magic happening on the pitch. And then it's almost like we kind of got to the end of qualifying and then it started happening. And yeah, I'm trying to think now. I think you could argue something reasonably special has happened in all of the real rounds, if they're proper rounds. That's what we call it, isn't it? The proper rounds to date. Ramsgate's victory against Woking, that was an upset. The second round, Maidstone beating Barrow, that was an upset. Third round wasn't an upset, but Middlesbrough pushed Villa all the way. It was a very late goal deflection, if my memory serves, as well. And then the fourth round, that's just tops the lot. Maidstone beating Ipswich. Fifth round, yes, they were comfortably beaten on the night, but what an experience that was. Like I said earlier, and as you suggested, if anybody wants to get me the ticket, I'm available for hire.
Where's next then? Where you eyeing up for the next round?
I nearly had a very embarrassing family mix-up here, because when the draw was made, I was like, Man United, Liverpool. And I know Man United aren't what they were, when I was growing up. And I know that Liverpool, they're playing the kids at the moment, aren't they? But Man United, Liverpool in the FA Cup, that would just be incredible. So I thought that's number one. And then someone, my wife, pointed out to me that on that Sunday, my daughter has a play that I've promised that I will go to, and I'd said many months ago, I said, don't worry, there will definitely be a game on the Saturday, or possibly the Friday night or the Monday. I will just go to whatever those is, and I won't go to the Sunday game. So Man United Liverpool sadly has gone down the priority list. So I'm aiming for the Saturday games. I'd kind of like to go up north, because I've been to Middlesbrough, which is a long way away from where I live.
Yeah, that's fairly north, yeah.
But then the other two that you could say are, comfortably north of London would be Coventry and Galston, which was Great Yarmouth. Other than that, I've not been to, for example, Manchester, Sheffield, Yorkshire, all. So I think kind of just to satisfy myself that I've covered the country a little bit more, I'd like to go to Manchester. So Manchester, Newcastle is number one. Because of the dates, the Wolves against Coventry will probably be my second one I'll aim for if I can't get in there. And then, well, if I have to miss my daughter's play, then I'll probably put Man United, Liverpool back on number 3. And Chelsea against Leicester would be I'd be a very satisfied person if I went to that. I don't want to belittle that tie in case there's any Chelsea or Leicester fans or connections who might want to get me in.
So to bring us neatly back to the start of our conversation and the link to our chat earlier in the season, then Man City, Kevin De Bruyne, beans on toast with Kevin De Bruyne before the Newcastle game. And yeah, I mean, it's I listened to Johnny Vaughan the other day on Radio X when Newcastle got through, and the wording on the report was that they've been rewarded with a trip to Manchester City, which Johnny Vaughan said was actually like a sort of a death sentence in the FA Cup. No one's going to give Newcastle a chance. Which end will he sit in?
I mean, when it comes to this, unless a particular club is, specifically welcoming me or I've already made contact with them, I'm a neutral. I'm open to offers. But I mean, I suppose in some ways, yeah, you kind of would say that Newcastle they are the underdogs, I suppose, in that. So, I mean, there'll be a bit of me that would love to see them go through. I mean, I'm not one of these people who, when people talk about how Newcastle haven't won a competition, any silverware for however long it's been, and some people say, yeah, let's keep it that way. Oh, we don't like Newcastle. I'm not like that. I don't mind who wins. If it's not going to be Wycombe, I don't mind who wins a competition. So why not have Newcastle, win the FA Cup this year? Who's to say?
I've just realised how ridiculous this all is. We've just described a situation between two clubs which are essentially owned by a country each, and the entire wealth of pretty much the entire globe. And we've described one of them as an underdog, which I think is
fantastic. I know, right?
That's the true magic of the FA
ludicrous. Cup. It's ludicrous. Yeah, the magic of the cup, isn't it? Oh, dear. I think if I'm going to be completely honest as well, though, I mean, to be honest, in my dream world, again, selfishly, I don't mind who goes through from that tie, because I've got the final that I would really like would be Manchester United against Chelsea. And the reason I want that is because that's the first FA Cup final that I remember watching in the 94 season, 4-0. United beat Chelsea 4-0. And I just sort of think there's a bit of poetry, romance, whatever you want to call it. Again, coming full circle for me, my first FA Cup final that I watched on TV all the way through to me doing this challenge. I just think that would be quite nice, wouldn't it? I'm sure there's 6 other teams in the competition whose fans would say that's ridiculous, but you can't have it all your own way anyway. And I mean, I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I wouldn't be betting on it. I feel like City will be strong. I feel like Liverpool will be strong. If they get drawn together, then there's an opening for one other team. But I personally feel that one of City or Liverpool will be in the final.
We shall see. That's the magic of the cup. We just don't know. So where can people, you've been documenting this, or you're a fabulous writer as well, so you've been documenting this journey. Where can people read about it?
Yeah, so all of the pieces I've done are on the FA's website, thefa.com. If you find the FA Cup section on there, all of the writing's in there. I believe they usually link at the bottom of my most recent article, the last ones that I've done as well. So all of my writing's on there. And yeah, they're a pleasure to write as well, I should say. It's one thing to go to the games and experience them, and then to relive them as I'm writing them, and to be able to share them with other people as well. It's a real privilege. Don't take that for granted as well. So yeah, I mean, if the FA Cup is your thing, and one person's slightly self-indulgent musings as well, then hop on board.
There we are. Wycombe fans, whilst you're on the FA website checking out to see which of our players are suspended this weekend, once you've done that, you can check out Matt's fabulous blog on the FA Cup. And Eddie Howe, I know you're listening to this. Slide into Matt's DMs and get him into the Newcastle end.
Please, Eddie, please.
This is Wycombe Sound.
You probably think you're pretty good at multitasking behind the wheel. I mean, you have to multitask to drive. So what's wrong with checking your phone? The thing is, your brain simply doesn't work that way. Even a quick look at a message, or firing off a quick reply, affects your concentration and makes you less able to react to hazards. If you use a mobile phone while driving, you're 4 times more likely to crash. Think. Put your phone away.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Okay, it's that part of the show, Till Death Us Do Part. This is where we talk to Wycombe Wanderers fans about their favourite memories, because supporting a football club is like a marriage. They're yours for life, for richer, for poorer, for better, for worse, the highs and the lows. And this week we're talking to Wycombe Wanderers fan Liam O'Rourke. Liam, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Very good, mate. Very good. Very pleased to have you on. Tell us about your story with Wycombe Wanderers. Where does it all begin?
So it actually begins way back in the 1940s, believe it or not, with my great granddad, who was the assistant manager, I guess you could call it, for the reserve team. So it starts all the way back then.
From the 40s?
And,
wow.
Yeah, from the 40s, yeah. I've actually got a photo here in front of me of him. And yeah, it's good. And we managed to sort of keep the tradition going through the family, mum's side. And then I picked it up just shy of 30 years ago.
What was your granddad's name?
His name was Fred.
Fred
Gillett.
What do you think Fred would make of where Wycombe Wanderers have been in the last 5 or 6 years?
I think I think he'd be so proud of where we've come from, from being at Lokes Park and all that kind of stuff to, the dizzy heights of the Championship. And I think that would have been only a pipe dream way back in the 40s.
Incredible. Right, then this is a feature where we talk about something old to start off with, and that's your favourite ever memory of Wycombe Wanderers. What is it, Liam?
So it has to be the 94 game at Wembley against Preston. I wasn't actually there per se, but I've had family members and stuff who were there. I was only 3 weeks old when that final was played. So don't want to make you feel old, Phil, or anyone who's listening right now. But yeah, that was sort of my first kind of memories around that sort of time. More recently, like the game against Liverpool, obviously, Leicester that year, the famous Essendon goal, all those kind of things. But the one that sticks out in my mind, I mentioned it earlier, the Championship. It's got to be the playoff final against Oxford, even though we weren't there. It's got to be that.
What an incredible night that was. Where were you?
I was at home in the living room, as many people up and down the country were in the living room. My mum was a Wycombe fan, still is a Wycombe fan, way before I was around. And she, she was jumping up and down as much as I was when that final whistle blew. And yeah, we finally made it.
Everyone talks about that night, about the fact that they weren't there, but weirdly, that little montage the club put out, it kind of brought us all together even more, didn't it? Even though we were all so many miles apart from everybody.
I shed a tear. I must confess, I did shed a tear when that came out. It was brilliant, and it made us, like you said, it made us feel like we were there. Luckily, I was one of the cutouts that were there in the stadium, as well as my great granddad, actually, who I showed in the photo there earlier. We both managed to see it. Obviously different time periods that the club has existed. He was there and part of it, and I was there in some way, shape, or form, part of that as well.
Wonderful memories. Right, on to something new. Your favourite player in the current squad. Now, I know you're a guy that waits by the players' entrance and gets to know them all, so you might have a different take on this. Who's your favourite current player?
It's very hard, like you say. I'm always there. Most home games I'm there. At the moment, it's a tie between Joe Jacobson and David Wheeler. JJ, he's coming up to just over 10 years at the club. He's done so much. Been part of the club for so many years and done so many good things, and Wheeler, David, he's making his own little bit of history now. So hopefully he's there for the same amount of time that JJ's been there and can have the same contribution.
One of the things that regularly comes up on this feature is that they're great players, but they're also really good people, aren't they? And that's quite important for people at Wycombe, I think.
Definitely, ever since Gareth came in and was obviously started off as a player and then made his way up through until he became a manager. He instantly sort of installed that sort of belief and sort of that atmosphere within the club. If you're big time or you're not willing to sort of communicate with the fans and everything and play your part, then you're not welcome at the club, kind of thing. And it shows with all the players that we've had since then. Obviously Blooms has been here for way longer than Gareth was, and he started to bring that through and carry it on, and it just shows that they're all so humble. They're great to sort of associate with. There's tons of fans waiting before the games and after the games to speak to them, and nothing's ever too much, and that's great.
The impact of David Wheeler off the pitch has had an impact on me. Recently, my boiler died where I live. I had to get a new boiler. And when choosing the new one, I was like, what would David Wheeler do here? And I got myself the most economical financially, but also the one that reduces my carbon footprint the most, because I could feel David Wheeler on my shoulder. Does he have that impact on you too?
100%, yeah. It's sort of, you can tell, like I said, he takes his time with everyone. Just recently, you can see like the impact he's had, like in the community. Like you just mentioned there, even something like a boiler. That kind of thing has an impact, and he's obviously doing great stuff for the community and obviously the environment as well, which I think is great to see.
Brilliant stuff. Right then, something borrowed. Your favourite ever loanee or player you wish that the club had signed, but they never did?
See, I'm quite fortunate with loanees, really. Most of them have actually come back, or in Jason McCarthy's case, come back more than 4 times. And actually stayed. So I'm quite fortunate. But, I tried to, when I was thinking about this, I tried to pick one that not many people would go for, or even 2, if I'm allowed to. It's a bit of a tie decision. Tom Heaton was one of the big ones. He was one of the standout loanees from Gary Waddock's time in charge in that spell in League One. And then also Marcelo Trotta was another one. The impact that both of those had when they were at the club was massive. And Tom, obviously coming from a club like Manchester United, that around that sort of time we weren't really known for, or we weren't really sort of attracting those kind of players from Manchester United. So seeing somebody come from that club was great. And obviously the impact he made. And then obviously Marcelo, I think he only played 8 or 9 games in the end and scored just as many goals. And we nearly stayed up that year. Potentially if we had him maybe in a little bit longer, then who knows, we could have done.
That's always a thing with loanees.
Yeah.
You fall in love with them, and then you think, "Oh no, if only they'd stayed." Trotz is a great. Tom Heaton. It's the first time someone's put him into this category. So goalkeepers obviously get a few more loans, especially in the modern era now because of the emergency situation. But Tom Heaton, again, went on to achieve great things in the game.
Yeah, 100%. And he went back to Manchester United as well, and he's still there. And I think he was a great part of Cardiff's run to the Carling Cup final. Burnley as well, their massive unbeaten run that they went on, I think it was like 21, 23 games unbeaten, for them to go back up into the Premier League as well. And he was first choice for most of that. So yeah, it just goes to show that a spell at a club like Wycombe, it can stand you in good stead. So if any of the other big Premier League teams are listening, send them our way. We've done pretty well so far.
They're all listening. Don't worry, they're all listening. Right then, on to something blue. This is either your favourite piece of merchandise the club's ever produced, or your idea for a piece of merchandise that will make loads of money for the club.
So again, I've sort of gone for 2 sort of options really. One for maybe like the younger fans, the younger generation, and also maybe one for the older generation. So I think that a sticker book or a sticker album may be something that we could do, and it'd be a collector's item for years to come. You see like all the now that we're not doing the programs as much or at all, the children can come up to the players' entrance, and they can get all their stickers signed and things like that, and they collect. You can have all sorts of different types of stickers from like memorable games or anything like that. It doesn't have to just be the current squad, and of course it raises money for the club as well. They can put back into the playing squad. So I think that's a good one. And also maybe something for the older sort of generation is to actually sell the coaches' training kit, which I think, we always sell like the players one and things like that. But I think to add a bit more variety into it, the coaches one is just as nice. And, I think maybe having that in there as well.
Well, I'm 45 and I'm still excited by your suggestion for the younger fans. I love stickers.
Oh yeah. Well, there was actually a gentleman there Tuesday night against Cheltenham. He had sort of a massive array of notebooks and things, and was getting things signed by both sets of players and things, and they can be collector's items as well as a sticker book or something. And when you sort of unwrap the packet of stickers and you see, oh look, I've got let's say a shiny Joe Jacobson, for example. It could be a special edition Joe Jacobson or whatever, or a Matt Bloomfield sticker. It could be something just as good as that, and to complete like a collection. I think it'd be a really, really good idea.
There you go. I'd get a Gareth McCleary sticker, and then obviously he won't have his shirt on. Then he can then get a sticker of his shirt, and then he could put the shirt on and take it on and off as and when he scores.
Well, yeah, exactly. It could be one of those ones, or like the cards that used to change. The cards that you used to get, and you used to flick it one way and it was like they had the shirt on or something, and flick it the other way and it had the shirt off.
Like the hologram
if you held hologram ones, yeah, exactly, yeah. I was trying to think of the word. Thank you. It could be a hologram Gareth McCleary, shirt off or shirt on, and you can choose which way you want it.
Right, that's a fantastic idea. We're going to look into this, definitely. Liam, we should also talk about your important role that you play at the club as well, because you're part of the Disabled Supporters Association. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so it's just over a year old now, coming up to 2 years, and we've made strides within the club to improve all areas, really. You know, not just within the supporter side, but the club as well, and making Adams Park an accessible area for all fans. You know, not just the home fans. We cater for away fans as well, and you know, just helping out really. And I learned a very valuable lesson that if you're sort of not really involved in like things to do with disability or access wise or anything like that, some people may not really be aware of certain needs that other people might have. Obviously, we've got a lot better as we've got older with those kind of things. But you know, seeking advice for the people that need it, and you know, we've done that, and the club have been fantastic. You know, since the Cougs have come in as well, their ears and eyes have always been open to any suggestions that we've had. Steve Kopp as well, you know, as safety officer has been brilliant. You guys in the media department with the, you know, we had the big screen announcement with our sort of contact details on there and everything. And, you know, the stewards as well, everybody within the club, Ryan Isaac, you know, there's so many people that you can mention. And hopefully I haven't missed anyone out there. You've all been fantastic, and you know, hopefully we've got the level playing field event coming up on Saturday against Barnsley, where we'll be just outside the Caledonian, and we'll be sort of happy to answer any questions or queries with regards to getting involved as a disabled supporter or anything that, you know, that you feel that the club may be able to do better as well. We can always ask the question and aim to make the supporter experience a lot better.
There we go then. That was Liam from the Disabled Support Association, and huge Wycombe fan. Lovely to hear his connection with the club. His great-grandfather being the reserve manager at Loakes Park. Great stories. Also, thanks to Matt Bass as well for his FA Cup Odyssey. We'll be back next week before the game against Wigan Athletic. In the meantime, though, keep your eyes peeled for news of the Wembley kickoff dates or time. The date won't change, honest. The time is coming up soon, we're told. We'll leave you with Dusty, and we'll be back next week. Stick around for Colin and Chatsworth.